Hello everyone, it's Kat and I'm back today with a slightly different video topic. Normally I talk exclusively about makeup and skincare, but today I'm going to be talking a little bit about fragrance. Now, some of you who have been watching my channel might know that I have gone down the rabbit hole of like niche perfume brands. I've started trying to smell like all the sort of popular scents, all the things that have been trending over the last couple of years that I've missed out on because I just wasn't aware of them. And one product that has just kept popping up as something that I wanted to try was Commodities Milk. Now, I've heard so many people rave about this fragrance. Like, it is marshmallow notes, milky notes. It's like just a cloud of beautiful, soft, marshmallowy goodness. And I'm like, I want to smell like that. It is winter in Australia. I want to smell like that. That sounds amazing. Now, I do have a bit of a history of getting sort of headaches and migraines from particular scents. So I am always quite cautious when it comes to ordering new scent profiles and from brands that I haven't really experienced in the past. So instead of blind buying milk because it's not available in store in Australia to sample, I decided to get their exploration kit. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to tell you what I think about all the fragrances in here and ultimately which one I purchased. So if you actually buy any sort of sampler kit from the Commodity website, the cost of that kit sort of goes as a credit towards your account and you can use it against a full-size fragrance. So I can't pass up getting value for money. So of course I applied that to a full-size fragrance. And at the end, I'll tell you which one I ended up purchasing. So one really interesting thing about Commodity is how they structure their fragrance range. So if you can see here, there are actually 6 different types of scents. So you can see down the middle, there's 6 different types, and then you get different strengths. So the middle one is the expressive. That's sort of like the in-between sort of standard scent. The projection is supposed to be like a little bit of scent throw, but nothing too strong. And then if you want something a little bit lighter and a little bit closer to the skin, they have the personal range, which is just a sort of lighter version. It's got slightly different notes. But if you want something bolder that projects a lot further and lasts a lot longer, they also have the bold range. So over the past few weeks, I have been testing all of these on my skin. Today, I'm going to spray them on cards and compare them for you and talk about how I feel they settled on my skin, if they gave me headaches, how I felt about them. This was actually a really interesting experience for me because, again, I'm quite sensitive to certain fragrances and certain notes. And what I thought I was going to like the most, surprisingly, I like something else. So I'm going to take you through all of these. This set does also come with a booklet. It does explain all the different scent notes and everything, so I will be referring to it. But the way they tell you to use this set is to start with the expressive range, so the middle range down here. You pick the one that you like the most, and then you try across the 3 to see which one suits you the most. So that's how they recommend you use this kit. I wanted to use them all, so that's what I did. Okay, I'm going to start with paper. Now, I didn't really like the paper range. It's described as a molecular skin scent, and it's got sandalwood and ISO E Super. Now, to me, I reckon, did it smell a bit like paper? Sure, because it sort of smells like nothing. I actually think the expressive one almost smelled like nothing. It completely disappeared on my skin. So this is the middle one. When it came to the personal, that actually was a little bit stronger. I could smell it a little bit more. Oh, and then the bold had almost like a violet-y smell to it. Now, I know it didn't have floral notes in it, but there's something to me that just, and violet, like that old sort of musky violet smell, can trigger headaches for me. So all of these sort of felt like it wasn't worth it. These bottles, I think, are around $230 full price if you're in Australia. And these just like, they didn't do anything. And it's odd because paper has been described quite commonly to Juliet Has a Gun, Not a Perfume. I love Juliet Has a Gun, Not a Perfume. There's something about this one that just projects a little bit more and has more of an interesting scent on me. This is one of my favorite sort of everyday scents because it just, to me, smells like clean body, clean clothes. It's a very clean sort of laundry smell. And this is where I think body chemistry really comes down to it because for me, Not a Perfume has this sort of very fresh, light, airy scent to it, which I really like. And it's great to just wear if I don't want to have a predominant scent. Both fragrances have that molecular scent to it, but for some reason I can't really detect anything really nice about paper. To me, it smells like a really watered down sort of cleaning product, whereas there's something light and fresh and airy with not a perfume, and they obviously do have different fragrance notes, but they are sort of in the same category, which is interesting. So I didn't quite see the point of spending any money on paper when it didn't smell like much. If I had to pick a favorite, I'd go the white bottle because that one I could actually smell. Expressive, I couldn't smell anything pretty much. And then that violety scent of the Bold was just a bit nauseating for me. The next range I didn't quite like was Velvet. Now this is described as a true indulgence of roasted almonds, rose petals, and amber. It also talks about woody, ambery blend, roasted almonds, rose petals, black amber, smoky gourmand. Now for me, this was again very heavy and a little bit nauseating because I just smoky, tobacco-y kind of leathery sort of vibes that this range gives, I didn't quite like. I did like the start of it where it was quite rosy, especially the expressive one. The rosy, vanilla-y, ambery vibe of it I did really like, but that was sort of the opening, and then it ended up getting quite smoky and quite heavy on me. When it comes to the three, I definitely liked Expressive the most because it had that sort of more predominant sweetness to it. The personal one, so the white one, had more flower rather than sort of a more vanilla note. So it just seemed was a little bit lighter, but it still was that smoky sort of rosy vibe. And the Bold on me ended up smelling very ambery, quite sharp and leathery, which again is not sort of something that works well with me. So it wasn't a range that I was a big fan of. If you are a bit like me and you like that sort of idea of the sweet, rosy, ambery vibes without the sort of heavy, smoky, leathery sort of thing that it settles down to, I highly recommend Midnight in Milan by Glasshouse Fragrances. It is lovely and I would wear this any day of the week versus Velvet. The next two are sort of like the middle of the pack for me. I don't hate them, but I don't like them enough to ever probably buy them. The first one is actually Book. This one is quite interesting. So they're saying it's crisp, woody scents centered around cedarwood and sandalwood. Now I like an earthy smell. I like a sort of woody smell. It's just that a lot of them can turn a bit funny on me and again sort of trigger headaches. So I'm very cautious about them. And if they're not balanced with something a little bit more fresh, I can sort of struggle wearing them. When I first applied Personal, I found it to be actually a little bit sharp and a little bit sort of spicy, but then it does settle down to more of a green scent. This one to me felt a little bit more generic. It almost had a slight sort of florally note to it as well. And when it sort of settled down, it sort of smelled like dusty old books. So I get it. It's sort of, I get the book vibe. It just wasn't something that I was super, like I was smelling myself and I was like, this is interesting, but it just didn't really feel like me. It was a bit unusual. Book Expressive, to me, I actually really liked this. It smelled like wood shavings, like fresh wood shavings, which I really liked. Like where I used to live, we used to walk past like this wood mill, and I used to always just smell the air because it had this really beautiful scent. And that's what this sort of reminded me of. It almost gave it like a green sort of minty vibe, which I liked as well. So this is one that I'd probably wear a lot more and really go, can I wear this without it sort of feeling disjointed with my body chemistry? Because I like the idea of it, like fresh wood shavings, kind of green, a little bit, I think it's got eucalyptus in it. Book Bold was probably my least favorite of the three. It gave like a really like old antique furniture vibe. It sort of smelled like old wood rather than that fresh wood. So the green was completely gone, and it had a bit of a smokiness to it as well, which I wasn't a big fan of. So if I had to pick one of the three, it would definitely be Expressive. It was nice and fresh, interesting sort of woody green vibe that I would play around with a little bit more. Ugh, okay. This next range I would probably put behind Book. And unfortunately, this was the range that I was most excited to try, Milk. So Milk is supposed to be a marshmallowy, sort of milky tonka bean, slightly woody scent. And from what I've heard from people, it's like walking around with this like marshmallowy, sweet, milky cloud that is just super pleasant. It sort of smells like really nice skin. And unfortunately, it didn't do that for me. There's something about it that I think I might be quite sensitive to. Milk Expressive is the one that everyone talks about. This is the one that's most popular and that gets raved about, and the reason why I wanted to try this. Now, for me, I did get the sweet marshmallowy scent, so I can definitely smell that. So the way I described it in my notes was that Milk Expressive, it was a soft, sweet and musky, almost almondy scent on me. So it's had a little bit of an almond sort of marzipan sort of scent to it, which I wasn't expecting. It also has this mahogany note that I found lingered and was the most predominant thing over time on me. But what I disliked the most was the chemical note to it. To me, it smells like isopropyl alcohol. There's something about this, and if that was taken out, I think this would be a nice sort of milky, sort of marshmallow vibe, musky sort of vibe. But that sort of isopropyl alcohol sort of sharpness, it really cuts through and can start giving me a bit of a headache. And I couldn't get over it, and it didn't disappear as well. So I think this is an example of where I'm probably quite sensitive to a particular ingredient that is causing me to get headaches from this. And if I didn't have that sensitivity, this could be a really pleasant fragrance. But because I do have that, this was really, really unpleasant. Milk Bold was the worst. This, it's got like firewood, accord and amber. So that on top of that alcohol-y sort of sharp chemical scent, really headache inducing. This one I had to scrub off because it was giving me a lingering headache. This was the worst one out of the whole batch. So I was expecting this range to be my favorite, and I mainly ordered this whole box to test if I wanted personal, expressive or bold, and bold just triggered a headache. I could even smell it on me after I scrubbed it off in the shower, which tells you how sensitive I must be to this particular ingredient. So out of the three, I did prefer personal, simply because it didn't have that really strong, sharp sort of chemical sort of vibe to it. I wouldn't say it was, I feel like the sort of sweet marshmallowy notes were sort of lost with this, but I could smell the sort of lactonic sort of milkiness, which is okay. But I also just thought it smelled a little bit like body odor, like sweet body odor. It wasn't great on me. One fragrance in my collection that I think I was surprised at how similar the sort of overall vibe was to Milk was actually Elborne by Carna Barcelona. This one has completely different notes. It's got no milky notes whatsoever, but it does have sort of honey notes to it. It's a little bit, people describe it as, I think, like a bit like waffle coney. So it is that sort of soft, sweet, musky scent. I find that this settles down to, it does smell like musk lollies on me, and it's got a bit of a sharpness, but instead of it being an alcohol sort of chemical sharpness that feels very artificial and jarring, it almost has a licorice or like black coffee kind of sharpness to it. So it just smells a little bit more organic and a little bit more pleasant. So what triggered sort of headaches with Milk, this is sort of, in my opinion, just a nicer version for me. So I'm just going to stick with this. Now onto my two favorite ranges. These were neck and neck. I love them both. I think they're really, really beautiful. All right, let's talk about Moss, which I didn't think I was going to love as much as I do. Moss, oh, that is giving me like just a break from that nauseating milk. Moss I really enjoyed. So this is a green scent, and they're saying it's got bergamot, oak moss and petitgrain. Now one thing that's interesting about this range is that you can see a progression very heavily. Like I feel like the difference between these three in this range, like you could have all three and they don't feel like they overlap too much. Moss Personal. Oh my God, I just want to drink this stuff. It is so fresh and delightful. This is very bergamot, very effervescent, very fresh, very citrusy, which I love. That is just normally what I go for. So before my new sort of expedition into the world of trying different scents, I was sort of just fixated on citruses. Now, I love this, but almost instantly it disappears. So this on me, you have like 5 minutes of this just like euphoria of like smelling this beautiful, zesty, electrifyingly bubbly sort of citrus. And then it sort of turns into nothing, which is why this wasn't my favorite. This, unfortunately, just did not last. And it's also quite dupable. I've got a lot of citrus scents and they all sort of can have this sort of smell. So I feel like it was a little bit less unique than the others, in my opinion. Now, one level up, Expressive. This is really beautiful. You get the citrus, you get the bergamot. It's almost like this sweet, fresh scent, but then you have this mossy sort of vibe coming in. So it's very green and it's really nicely balanced. Now, this one lasts a lot longer. Again, it opens with the citrus, settles down to green, but there is still citrus that lingers throughout the whole wear time. This one is just a really nice balanced green, fresh, little bit mossy. It's like you're walking through, I don't know, a rainforest on a sunny day. Really, really beautiful scent. And then if we go to bold, it's really interesting. This is where you get that mossiness, but the citrus has gone. So it's almost like expressive is a mix between personal and bold. There's almost like you can see a journey through it. This one is a little bit more masculine, definitely more green, definitely more sort of mossy, definitely more sort of plant vibes. So I preferred expressive simply because I like that sweet balance. This is probably the only scent profile that I would be happy to buy all three, and I would wear all three on different occasions. They all have something really nice about them. And it was a really lovely break as well, because when I was testing all of these, like especially the stronger we get and the smokier and the sort of more alcohol-y smell and whatever was going on, it was verging on a lot of headache vibes, whereas moss to me was very fresh and very clear and actually was sort of relieving of headaches, which was really nice. So I vibe with moss. The last range is gold, and I would say next to milk, this is the one that I've heard most about, probably because it is the most vanilla based, and vanilla is a very, very popular perfume at the moment. Everyone loves vanilla. A lot of people are bringing out vanillas. So doesn't surprise me that this is a really popular one. It's one that I really like as well. Definitely expressive I like the most. I feel like it was the most vanilla forward, and it was the most sort of well balanced with the sort of other ambery sort of notes. So it was a bit of a warm, almost spicy vanilla, but it wasn't so warm and spicy that I found it hard to wear. It was a really lovely one, great for winter. I would totally wear this any day on a cold day. It's very, very beautiful. Gold Plus brings in smokiness, which you've lost me. All of a sudden it becomes headache inducing. It was just way too rich. It was way too overpowering. I found the smokiness drowns out the vanilla completely. So what I thought was interesting about this range, which was that beautiful sweet vanilla sort of vibe, this just to me smells like sweet smoke. And then Gold Personal. This one has that ISO E Super in it as well. So it brings it a little bit more of a molecular vibe. Gold Personal definitely doesn't have the warm vibes that Expressive has. To me, it almost had a bit of a coldness to it, and it was almost too balanced out that, again, the vanilla sort of disappeared. There was also a little bit of a plasticky vibe to this. I don't know if it was like the molecular vibe. It turned the vanilla almost to like a powdery plastic vanilla, which reminded me a little bit of dolls when I was younger that had that sort of artificial vanilla scent sort of in the plastic. So there was something nostalgic about it, but I probably wouldn't want to wear it. It just seemed to lack a lot of life that Gold Expressive had. So yeah, Gold Personal, not offensive, just sort of meh. So my top two, hands down, were Gold Expressive and Moss Expressive. One thing that was interesting as well was that besides the Milk Expressive that had that sharp sort of isopropyl alcohol scent to me, Expressive was my favorite across the board. There was something about it that had enough longevity. It seemed to have highlighted sort of the notes that I liked the most. And it didn't disappear as quickly as the Personal one. And it wasn't also as headache inducing as the Bold. So Expressive was definitely my favorite. And out of the two, which one did I end up buying? Well, this one arrived yesterday. I ended up buying Moss. And the reason I bought Moss was because I find it very hard to find a really beautifully balanced citrus and sort of mossy vibe. I find that Moss can often go very masculine and can be a little bit jarring. So the fact that this was so nicely balanced and it had that sort of beautiful sort of fresh sweetness, and it was like you're just walking through a forest. I found this one to be a little bit more unique. I definitely will buy Gold Expressive in the future. I think it's a really beautiful warm vanilla. It's just not as sort of unique to me at the moment because vanillas are everywhere, and I can go into the shops and smell like a dozen different vanillas. Now, if you are in Australia, Adore Beauty does stock this full range, as well as some of the kits. And when they're having sales, you can often find the range 20% off. So that's probably when I'll be buying Gold Expressive, when I can find it on sale. The annoying thing is that if you do buy one of their exploration kits, you can't redeem the cost of that onto a full size product. So you can only do that through the commodity website. The good thing is that there is an Australian website, so you can actually order commodity very easily that ships to Australia, and it arrives very quickly. I think it arrives in a few days or a week, so you can definitely do that. And the great thing about the commodity website as well is they have a much bigger range of exploration packs. So if you, for example, know that you're going to like velvet or paper or whatever it happens to be, you can just buy the 3 different versions of that. Or if you knew that you were like sort of a softer fragrance, you can just try the personal, you can just try the expressives, or you can just try the bold if you like something a bit stronger. And I think you can also have some custom little packs as well. So you have a lot more variety in what you can sample from the commodity website. But ultimately what I loved about this is you have a really good opportunity to try the whole range. If you are a little bit sensitive to fragrances like I am, you can not just waste your money on something that you're not going to use. And then if you use the money towards a full fragrance, it's like you're getting 36 mils of product for free, which is really, really great. So if you've tried any of Commodity's fragrances, I know they're available in Sephora US, so a little bit easier to sample in store there. Let me know what you think, what your favorite one is, what you think about them overall. Were you expecting my favorite to be Milk? Because I was. And I was shocked that I didn't like it. Are you also a person that tends to get a really sort of alcohol, isopropyl alcohol cleaning product sort of vibe to it? I don't know. I feel like I'm the only one. Everyone online loves it. And I understand that it could be so good. It just, there's something that I just can't handle about it. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my amazing members for supporting my channel. Mwah! And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye. Oh.